Hello traders, welcome to Zion Traders. So today we'll be analyzing USDCHF and see what could possibly go from here. Right. So before we take a look at the technicals, let's quickly take a look at the fundamental perspective. So this is investing.com and this is Switzerland GDP, the first quarter of 2025, and we can see right here it came out positive. It means that there's a growth, a level of growth in the economy, right? So, and this is very solid, right? So we'll take a look at this their inflation, which is using the CPI right now. So we can see that it's very neutral currently, right? It's actually well contained, looking at the fact that it's still within the inflation level, which NSNB, which they want, right? So it's well contained, right? So if we look at interest rate decisions by SNB, right? So if you are wondering, you've not heard about SNB. SNB is actually Switzerland National Bank, right? So if we look at their interest rate, so or their interest rate decisions, they actually start cutting. They have started cutting interest rate or rates by. They had to cut it by 0.25% or percentage point, right? So and this is actually not good for the currency. It's negative for the currency, but we can see that CPI is inflation is well contained and the gross domestic product, which is the GDP, is actually very positive, right? So if we look at SNB outlook, they're actually looking forward to cutting more interest rates as long as inflation is under control, right? So and also and one another positive effect about or what could possibly positively affect which is CHF right now is that CHF is a safe haven asset, and when during risk on CHF usually rises since it's a safe haven asset, right? So let's take a look at US, right? So I've already talked about US a lot of times, and recently their CPI came up, right? So it was released, and when CPI was released, although it is negative, right? It came out negative, but then it's still above Fed's 2% target, right? So although it's actually trending down, which is actually negative, is not good for the currency, right? So because it's until there is high inflation, until it's CPI is up, that is when there will be expectation for interest rate hike. But right now, if you even look at it, when Trump asked Fed to reduce interest rate, Fed refused to reduce the interest rate or cut interest rate by 100 basic points, right? But then because if you look at the GDP contracted, and then actually cutting interest rate could help the GDP, could resuscitate GDP, but then looking at the inflation is still actually above their set target, Fed set target. I believe that's the reason why they've not cut interest rate just yet, right? But then if we look at the labor market in US, it's actually growing. Looking at the past NFP that came out, I think last week, as of last week, it actually shows that the labor market is growing right over there in US, right? So but then if we look at the GDP contracted by 0.2% in the first quarter of 2025, which is very negative for US. So overall, in summary, CHF actually is more strengthened than USD right now. All right, so let's take a look at the technical perspective. So fundamentally is bearish, and also technically we can see on the weekly time frame is bearish. But then quickly take a look at the daily time frame and see what's currently happening. All right, on the daily time frame, we see that there was a when price got to this point, there was a change of character. So I always say change of character signals that trend could possibly start reverse from there. So and right here we had a break of structure bullish, but then almost immediately price changed character bearish again, signaling that price could start selling right from that point. So I and my team we took a sell from this point, right? So right now, price has traded back into this point and has broken structure bearish again, as you can see right here, and we are just right here now. So this level is for me, it's actually a level that will define everything that we. Although market is bearish, but then. Well, since we are still above this level, right? So we could still see some level of buys to the upside. However, we are already bearish. So to be on the safer side, if you want to take any sell right now, I don't advise you take it from here. You could possibly wait for price to come to retrace right to, let's say, to this level, and then you could start taking more sales from here. Or best still, if you want to be safe, just wait for price to break this low first. Once price breaks out from this level, right? So wait, then watch out for a retracement. Then you could join the sell. So price USDCHF is currently bearish, right? But then before you take any sell, I strongly advise you wait for a break of structural bearish, like for this zone to be broken, right? Once this zone is broken, it means that although it's already, I think it's broken on DXY already, so it's actually it's going to like make your it's going to give you a higher probability. We are already bearish. We have been bearish, so we are still bearish on daily time frame. Let's go to the 4 hour time frame. Like I said, on the 4 hour time frame as well, we are also very bearish. So, but before you take any sell, you should wait for this point, or to be on the safer side, just wait for a break around this point before you take any sell. So that's it, guys. We are bearish on USDCHF, but then this level is a very sensitive level. You should wait for price and see what price will do around this level, right? Before joining, taking any sells. Wait for price, right? So, of course, price could reverse from here. Actually, it could reverse because it's a sensitive level, but then overall, we are bearish, right? So let's just watch out for what CHF will do. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what I do here, make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe. God bless you.